I'm Andy Chanley from 100.3 The Sound, and I'm here with George Thorogood, who has an album coming out 15th or 16th?
It's coming out actually the
July 12th, right?
July 12th.
Is it your 15th or 16th?
It's a 17th studio album.
All right, so 17th album. It's called 2120 South Michigan Avenue, and I thought an easy way into this might be to have you explain what that address, how that's significant to you.
Well, it's a title that the record label Capitol chose for the record. We're doing a tribute to Chess Records, which was Capitol's idea, and we had to go through certain selections. And I was in a band in high school, like everybody else was, and 2120 South Michigan Avenue was one of the songs we used to do. Actually, it was a song we led off with.
Right.
And so I got in the studio, and just about all the other choices were Capitol choices or the producer's choice. And my choice, I said, well, let's do 2120 South Michigan Avenue. We got to get the Stones in here. We got to put a Stones song in here because they were the guys that turned me on to Chess to begin with. And all the other people are Chess people. I know the Stones are with London, and then they're with Rolling Stones Records, and then Virgin Records. But you can't do this right unless it's that. And they said, well, which one you want to do? Jumpin' Jack Flash? I said, no, man, no. You got to do 2120. It was recorded there by them when they were at the peak of their passion for the chess the chess artists and then the chess music, when they were really at the peak of that, and they recorded. I said, that's a song that'll do the album justice, even if we don't record it as well as the Stones.
Right.
This is the ultimate tip of the hat to these guys.
And that was the address in South Chicago where Chess Records.
Yes,
were
yeah, I was there 3 times.
Those songs you were.
Yes.
The songs by Muddy Waters.
Yeah, I was shocked when I went through the streets of Chicago in 1981. It was all boarded up, and around it was hawk shops, jewelry stores. You know, it was just everything was boarded up. But those steel things you see in New York that they put in front of the jewelry stores at night. So
we have them here too. Yeah.
Wherever those things are called, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, there was up a flight of stairs, and I went up there and I looked in. I said, I'd really love to go in. And I talked to all these people in Chicago. I said, this is where Chess Records was. They'd go, what's Chess Records? I said, you know what Chess Records was? Do you know it was recorded here? And they said, no. I said, Johnny Be Good, the ultimate rock and roll riff, da-da-da-da-da. I mean, that is as famous as da-da-da-da-da-da, right? And the Roll Over Beethoven, the song that says it all, the 50s, the ultimate saying is, we ain't going to listen to this classical stuff. These kids are rocking. And I said, it was recorded in you don't know this? You know what I'm saying? It's like walking around in I don't know, Maryland or Pennsylvania and say, you never heard of Appomattox? You never heard of Gettysburg? Where were you people been? Man, you call yourself rock people?
Yeah.
What's going on?
It is. It's American history.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, just not music history. American history, because Chuck Berry made history.
Yeah.
Not just musical history. Because rock, as far as I'm concerned, is not a musical phenomenon. It's a social phenomenon.
Yeah.
And Chuck Berry created that.
Well, and it's not just blues music or rock music, it's American music.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
The thing that I think is neat about what you've done in your career is this isn't like, hey, I've done 17 albums, now I can do a vanity album where I'll do standards like a number of artists have done. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you have always been close to the bone, close to the blues rock heritage. I mean, you've always associated yourself with these guys, with Bo Diddley, and it seems like it's something that has run through your blood for a long time. Is that why you wanted to get into music to begin with?
To begin with, first of all, my parents came to me when I was about 19 and said, you can't work. You've tried. You're not good at it. You know, I mean, you dress the part, you stay up all night, you've got long hair. Why don't you get with the music? That's what you know. That's your passion. I said,
your parents wanted you to.
Yes. Oh, yes. They said I said, but I can't play anything. And they said, small detail. Learn an instrument. You got the rest of it covered. You know all the music as good as anybody. You know all these things. People think you're in a rock band. They let you in a Steppenwolf show for free. They think you're in the band. You know. So take it the next step. You can't work, George. And you can't stay here the rest of your life, sleeping on the couch, looking in the mirror, doing your imitation of Steppenwolf. I said, oh, okay. But when I started doing that, I had a real project that had a list of 30 to 35 obscure, let's get this straight, once and for all. Linda Ronstadt does covers of hits. Am I wrong? Hits. Joe Cocker does covers of hits. And there's nothing wrong with that. And they do justice to both those songs. They're brilliant. What I was doing was taking obscure songs that no one ever heard of and taking these songs and making them into sounding like good songs, like Bourbon, Scotch, and Beer, I'll Change My Style, Bebop Grandma by Solomon Burke, Bottom of the Sea by the Stones. I had a list of them. I mean, that's why I picked up the guitar. I literally learned the songs as I was learning the instrument.
Well, as an added benefit, half the people think that you wrote those songs.
Well, what we did was expose them. I didn't write them. We exposed them. Yeah, the Stones did that, but what you don't realize is that on their second album, Under the Boardwalk was on that, which was already a hit. Red Rooster was a hit in Chicago by Howlin' Wolf, which they chose to do. So some of the stuff, Mona was obscure. I give them that. It was obscure. But that's what I wanted to do, was expose these tunes. And that took me all the way through, even through The Dirty Dozen, our last record, which had Tail Dragger on it, which I've been trying to do since 1970. The title was great. The song was great. The music was horrible. And I was hoping the London Sessions would get a hold of it, or Zeppelin would get a hold of it, or somebody would get a hold of it and do it justice. We found a song called Bottom of the Sea by Muddy Waters on an album called After the Rain. Great title. Great lyrics. Horrible music. It needed a treatment. I said, if we the right treatment with the right artist, we can expose these two. You know, if Tom Waits had done One Bourbon, One Scotch, One Beer, it would have been just as big a hit. Because it's the song. See what I'm saying? If he had done it, or Dean Martin had done it, or Jerry Reed would have done it, it still would have been a hit, because it's the song. As Spencer Davis once said, the songs are the stars. I said, the songs made me famous. I didn't make the song famous. The song made me famous. If I hadn't have written I Drink Alone, Tom Waits would have done it, or someone would have done it, and they would have done it great. And that's when I was taking these tunes that people didn't know of. I said, well, Seventh Son. You know the song Seventh Son?
Sure.
How did Elvis Presley miss that?
Yeah.
If Elvis Presley had done that, Johnny Rivers would have never got it off the ground.
Yeah.
That's perfect for Elvis.
Yeah.
Perfect vehicle for his style. Couldn't you just see Elvis up there, you know? Like a dog in the world, make a sound, even make a little, it'd kill him.
Yeah.
Kill him, baby. You know, and Johnny had that idea before I did. So Johnny and I get along pretty good. And John Hammond did that too. He found obscure tunes and brought them into the consciousness of people who weren't aware of those tunes. That was my project from day one.
Speaking of stars, though, you've associated with a few of them, especially on this record. You've got Charlie Musselwhite playing harp. You've got Buddy Guy playing on a song. Tell me about. I mean, these are some of the last.
Yeah, they are the last. They are the last. Yeah, Musselwhite, John Hammond,
and
B.B. King, of course.
Everybody's gotten down and genuflected before. Buddy Guy, Jeff Beck, Jimmy Page, Stevie Ray Vaughan. These people. Jeff Beck said he once saw him throw the guitar up in the air and catch it in the same chord. You know, he's someone who it seems like he has a magic that you're really fond of.
Regardless of what Jeff Beck does, what he records in his life, or Clapton, or let's just take those two, or Stevie Ray Vaughan. Those guys are rock idols. They always will be. They can record 15 blues albums in a row. Clapton did an album called From the Cradle. He did an album Riding with the King, B.B. King. He did an album called Me and Mr. Johnson. Eric will always be a rock star. That's what people remember him as when he started. And his biggest marks in the world are rock hits. Jeff Beck was looked upon as the ultimate rock guitarist. That was Jimi Hendrix's idol, for God's sakes. Okay? And no matter what Stevie Ray does, he loves the blues. All the kids that came up from 1983 on, Stevie Ray was their Jimi Hendrix. The kids, a rock guy. Yeah. Stevie looked like a rock guy. He dressed like a rock guy. His idol wasn't Albert King. His idol was Jimi Hendrix. See? And Jimi Hendrix's idol was Jeff Beck. See? So, no matter what those cats do, they're always going to be looked upon as that. No matter what you do, B.B. King will be the king of the blues. No matter what you do, Musselwhite will be one of the greatest blues harp players ever. John Hammond will always be probably the greatest solo blues artist this side of Lightning Hopkins. You know, and there's very few left. You know, Elvin can go out there and play the blues as good as anybody on the guitar, but he kind of has his own style. He's got what you call a kind of a blues funk. He's got the Elvin funk thing, and he's funny, and he's a great entertainer. When it comes down to it, yes, he can play the B.B. King blues as good as anybody on the planet, but his pocket, his gig is more Elvin Bishop than it is blues. See what I'm saying? Yeah. Which is he's like the Jerry Reed of that genre. You know what I mean? Of that genre. You know what I mean? So and whatever Thorogood is, people will say blues. They'll say George Thorogood and Destroyers blues. It's great they made a blues record, but people come to rock when they see us. I say George is he's the master of ceremonies at the Boogie Woogie show. He's the canned heat of now.
I want to ask you about the live show. Hey, first of all, do you remember in the 80s, wasn't it great when videos could sell records for you?
I wish they'd sold a few for me.
You had a huge, I mean, MTV really got a hold of the Bad to the Bone video. Actually,
no. I'll tell you the truth. You Talk Too Much on video did great wonders for us. We put Bad to the Bone out on it, and it really didn't do anything. What really made Bad to the Bone, the song for us, was classic rock radio. Not MTV. It went on MTV, people looked at it, we played it live, and we got, okay. But when the kids took over and started rock classic radio in what, 1990? Is that when it started? About that time? And remember, Bad to the Bone had been out for 8 years. And the response we got was okay. Once they put it on rock classic radio, and I talked to many people who started, the program directors of rock classic radio said, the 5 songs we picked to kick this thing off were Rockin' Me Baby, Jumpin' Jack Flash, Bad to the Bone, Stairway to Heaven, to kick off rock classic radio. And that's when Bad to the Bone took off. With all due respect to MTV, it was not that. It was classic rock.
But you make my point for me. You have never relied on that. It's always been touring. You know, whether it was the 50-50 tour where you played 50 shows in 50 states or in 50 days. You know, just touring relentlessly. That's the thing. And you pick up the tour again at the end of July. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. That's where a musician should, I think, and does apply their trade and make their living, is getting out there and doing it. You still love it?
It's better now than it ever was. First of all, they have better equipment now. Right. They have somebody to drive the bus. We don't have to drive. Someone hauls the equipment. The equipment's better. We have more tunes. I mean, when I played 1980, I had 2 songs. Moving on over and Bourbon, Scotch, and Beer. So I had to play 3 hours around those 2 songs. And Bourbon, Scotch, and Beer went from 28 minutes long down to 23 minutes. You know what I mean? Keep on juggling, you know. So as time went on, it's better now. But my theory has always been, follow me on this, just suppose they just stopped making videos and no one watched television anymore. Suppose no one listened to radio. Suppose radio just stopped. Suppose they just stopped making records. What's left that they can't take away from you? Playing live. That's where it all started anyway. People started playing live. I mean, Stephen Foster was playing live before there was MTV. Before, you follow what I'm saying? John Philip Sousa played live before this medium came around. So that's what I stuck with. So that fan base is pretty much what has supported us, the foundation of keeping us going. But you have to understand there's other elements that help this act. We got it on the tail end of FM radio. Just before it closed the store, they played Bourbon, Scotch, and Beer. So it was on underground radio. That was 1977, and they closed their doors about 79, 80. So what happened after that? The next big rage was MTV, which was just starting. So we got in on the basement of that with Bad to the Bone. All right. That ran its course with us. Then came what came along, classic rock radio. And we had the right tune again, Bad to the Bone, went on there. So that kept us going. Now they've had 2 phenomena. The House of Blues, which they hired us to do. Let me ask you, was the House of Blues built for the Destroyers or the Destroyers built for House of Blues? It's a perfect fit. And the other thing was the Native American casinos. The casinos are big now. They want rock bands. They want rock bands, and they want ones that they can afford, and ones that spend a lot of money on beer. So we have these other things You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Strategically at certain times, which we didn't plan. You know, I didn't sit there in 1979 and said, you know, there's going to be a House of Blues in 20 years from now. We better be ready for it. You know, you just don't know this.
Yeah.
You know, but the bottom line was the fan base of seeing us live all the time and saying, you know, if people see something live that's great, they never forget it. If they see something that's really terrible, they even remember that more.
It's true.
You know?
Well, we can actually maybe end it there. You get the chance to see George live July 31st at the Greek Theater here in LA.
With Charlie Musselwhite.
With Charlie, oh, he's going to play with him?
And Kenny Wayne Shepherd.
Really?
Oh yeah, we only work with the best.
That's going to be a good show. And the album
A good show? Excuse me?
A fantastic show.
There you go.
With and Charlie Musselwhite and Buddy Guy are both on the new record that comes out on July 12th. It's 2120 South Michigan Avenue. And Little Birdie told me that George is going to make an appearance on our guest DJ show on the Sound, My Turn. So be listening for that Sunday evening, coming soon to you. I'm Andy Chanley from the Sound. George Thorogood, thanks a lot for sitting down with us.